Okay, everybody. Unfortunately, I'm not there today. Little baby Orly is sick. Refuah shlema to Orly. So instead, during this period, you should take out your bid sheets. At this point, you should have finished your cartoon. So you should not be working on the cartoon. You should actually hand in your cartoon to the substitute teacher. The cartoons were due, so that's finished. But for this period, you should take out your bid sheets, and we're going to translate inside the last few pages of the bid sheets. So please take those out. Whether or not you got to line 28 or you got past line 28, everyone should start on line 28, right? Let's start on line 28. I'll just highlight it. That's where we're going to start right now, and make sure that we got this strong, okay? We make sure we understand it well. Okay, let's explain. We're at now the answer phase. How do we divide the laning of Rosh Chodesh? And there are two answers the Gemara gives. Rav Amar Doleg. Rav says you should repeat the third pasuk twice. Rav Amar Doleg. Doleg means repeat. Rav says you should repeat the third pasuk 2 times. So again, you should write out just maybe on the margins over here or maybe up here, just explain, or maybe on the back of your page, that Rav says Aliyah number 1 should be Pasuk, Aleph, Bet, and Gimel. Then Aliyah number 2 is you repeat Gimel and read Gimel, Dalid, Hey. So you're going to repeat Pasuk Gimel, right? Repeat Pasuk Gimel 2 times. Okay, that's answer number 1. Ushmuel Amar Posek. And Shmuel said, no, you should posek, you should split. You should split the third pasuk into 2 halves. And Aliyah number 1 will be pasuk 1, pasuk Aleph, pasuk Bet, and half of pasuk Gimel. And the second Aliyah will be the second half of Pasuk Gimel, Dalid, and Hey. So now we have to explain, well, why didn't Rav and Shmuel like their friend's opinion? Meaning, why didn't Rav like Shmuel's opinion? And why didn't Shmuel like Rav's opinion? Right? What was wrong with each of the other person's opinion? So let's look at line 30. Rav Amar Doleg. Rav says you should repeat Pasuk Gimel, My Tama Lo Amar Posek. What's the reason, right? My Tama, you should have known already what that means, because we had a quiz on it. My Tama, what is the reason, Lo Amar Posek, that Rav didn't say to split the Pasuk? Why didn't Rav say, right? We said Rav Amar Doleg. Why didn't Rav say Posek like Shmuel, right? We got Rav saying Doleg in the yellow team. Shmuel says Posek. Why didn't Rav say Posek also? Right? What was wrong with that? So line 32, Kasabar Rav held, Kol Psuka de lo Paske Moshe, any pasuk that Moshe didn't split, Anan lo Paskinan le. We are not allowed to split. If Moshe Rabbeinu didn't split the pasuk, we are not allowed to split the pasuk. Ushmuel Amar Paskinan le. Okay, so before we get to line 34, Rav basically says, look, you're not allowed to split psukim. He held if Moshe Rabbeinu didn't split the pasuk, Anan, we lo Paskinan le. We are not allowed to split it. We can't split a pasuk that Moshe didn't split. Therefore, the only choice is to repeat a pasuk twice, because we're not allowed to split psukim. Ushmuel Amar Paskinan le. But Shmuel said, no, you should split the psukim. So before we ask why Shmuel didn't say to repeat psukim, why didn't Shmuel say doleg, before we ask that question, the Gemara has another question. Now, to understand this question, you have to hear that there's 2 people in the story. There's Rabbi Chanina Kra. I'll put him in on the, no, we already used blue. Let's give him a different color. We'll put him on the green team, right? Rabbi Chanina Kra. That means Rabbi Chanina, the expert at psukim. He was an expert at psukim. He was also a teacher. Didn't Rabbi Chanina, the expert at psukim, say? That's what V'hamar Rabbi Chanina Kra means. I'll explain that in a second. Our second person is Rabbi Chanina Hagadol. We'll put him in maybe purple. Okay? So we have two people. The problem is their names are the same, so it gets confusing. Rabbi Chanina Kra is Rabbi Chanina, the expert at psukim. Right? Rabbi Chanina, the expert at psukim, just to show you that's what that means. And we have Rabbi Chanina Hagadol, which means Rabbi Chanina the Great. These were two different people. They were both called Rabbi Chanina. It's like we have maybe if my brother taught in the school, we would have Rabbi David Teller and we'd have Rabbi Jonathan Teller. So here we have two Rabbi Chaninas. One was called Rabbi Chanina Kra, and one was called Rabbi Chanina Hagadol. So from this point on, that's how I'm going to call them. Rabbi Chanina Kra and Rabbi Chanina Hagadol. Okay? So again, Ushmuel Amar Paskinan Le. Shmuel said to split the psukim. But one second. Veha Amar Rabbi Chanina Kra. But didn't Rabbi Chanina, the expert at psukim, say something different? Didn't he say, Tsar Gadol Hayali, I took great pain. I had great trouble trying to convince Eitzel Rabbi Chanina Hagadol, trying to convince Rabbi Chanina the Great, trying to convince him what? So you should write in brackets, to let me split psukim when I was teaching in school. Okay? So Rabbi Chanina Kra said that Tsar Gadol Hayali, I used to take great pain trying to convince Rabbi Chanina the Great, right? What was I trying to convince him? That I should be allowed to split psukim for my students. What does that mean, to split psukim for my students? It means that when I was teaching Torah to them, I would like permission to be able to stop every few words and translate, as opposed to reading the whole pasuk and then having to translate, because that's much harder. Right? Think about your class with Rabbi Fleischman for a second. It's a lot easier to read little parts and then translate, as opposed to reading a very, very long thing and then translating. Right? Look at our Gemara bit sheets over here. I could read lines 37 through line 44 and then put a whole long crazy translation in, and you'll find it very hard to get it down that fast. But if I break it down into smaller steps, it's easier. So what Rabbi Chanina Kra was asking Rabbi Chanina Hagadol was, he was trying to convince him to allow himself, Rabbi Chanina Kra, when he was teaching, to be able to split psukim into smaller chunks in order to be able to teach it easier. But what was Rabbi Chanina Hagadol's response? Line 38, Velo hitir li lifsak, but he did not give me permission to split the psukim. Velo hitir li lifsak, he did not give me permission to do this. Ella latino kot shel beit rabban, except for very young school children, and you can write in brackets, who found it very hard to learn. So meaning it wasn't allowed for every student, only for students that found it exceptionally difficult, except for the little young school children. Those were the only people he gave me permission to do this for. Why? Ho'il lehit lamed asuyan. Since they were being divided to help teach them more easily. Right? Why did he give permission? Ella Latino Kocho Beit Rabban. Right? Why did Rabbi Chanina Gadol allow me to teach young school children? Ho'il lehitla made asuyan. Since I was doing this to make it easier to teach them. So 1 second. And I'd like you to write here now. So how is this whole conversation between Rabbi Chanina Kra and Rabbi Chanina Hagadol? How is that a question against our buddy Shmuel from earlier? Well, it's because According to this, the only time you're allowed to split psukim is for young school children. So how could Shmuel say you're allowed to split psukim to lane Rosh Chodesh? So I write in brackets, the question from all of this is, if I'm only allowed to split psukim for Rosh, for teaching young children, how did Shmuel say I can split psukim when I lane Rosh Chodesh, right? It seems like the only time I'm allowed to split psukim from this conversation between the Rabbi Chaninas is when I'm teaching young children. So how can Shmuel then say I'm allowed to do that when I lane Rosh Chodesh? Answers the Gemara, Hatam, over there, and I'd write in brackets, in the case of teaching young children, Tamamai, what is the reason that I'm allowed to split the psukim? Right? Tamamai, what is the reason that I'm allowed to split the psukim? Right? Again, Hatam, over there, in the case of teaching young children, Tamamai, why am I allowed to split the psukim? What's the real reason why I'm allowed to split in that situation? Answers the Gemara, line 43, Mishum delo efshar, because it's impossible to teach them otherwise, right? You have no choice because otherwise it's impossible. Hachanami, so also here, in our case of Rosh Chodesh, the reason why I'm allowed to split the psukim is because lo efshar, it's impossible otherwise. It's impossible, which means we just gave an answer. From the Rabbi Chanina case, you might have thought, oh, the only time I'm allowed to split psukim is when I'm teaching young children. But no, the reason why I'm allowed to do it there is because it's a case where there's no other choice. So too, in any case where there's no other choice, says Shmuel, I can split psukim. So I can split psukim for Rosh Chodesh because there's no other choice. Hachanami, here too, in the case of Rosh Chodesh, lo efshar, I'm allowed to split them because lo efshar, it's impossible to do anything else. There's no other choice. 1 second, there is one more choice, the choice of repeating. So why didn't Shmuel say to repeat? And that's what the Gemara goes on to say. Ushmuel amar posek, and Shmuel says, remember, Shmuel said to split the psukim. Our buddy Shmuel said to split the psukim for Rosh Chodesh. My tama, what does my tama mean? What is the reason? What is the reason, lo amar doleg, that he didn't say to repeat psukim, right? Why not repeat psukim? Why didn't he say to repeat? What's the problem with repeating psukim? Gezerah. It is a decree. The rabbis made a rule or a decree that you can't do this. Why? Because it will lead to a mistake. Please write that. It's a decree the rabbis made. They made this decree because otherwise it would lead to a big mistake. If you repeat psukim in shul, it's going to lead to a big mistake. What's the mistake? Mishum hanichnasim. It's a mistake that will be made by those who come to shul late. Hanichnasim means those who come to shul late. Mishum hayotzin, and those who come to shul, or those who leave shul early. So the rabbis made a decree, mishum hanichnasim, so that those who come late don't make a mistake. and those who leave early don't make a mistake. Now, what's the mistake that they'll make? What's the mistake that they'll make? So please explain this, right? Please explain. What's the mistake? If you come late, what mistake might you make if you repeat a pasuk? So think about it, guys, and then just write this down and you're all done. If you come late to shul, imagine this. Imagine I come to shul and I realize, oh man, I missed the first aliyah of Rosh Chodesh. Right? I get to shul and they're already at the second aliyah. And they start the second aliyah, again, according to Rav's plan, they're going to start reading the third pasuk. What am I going to think to myself? I'm going to say, oh, that must mean that the first guy laned only 2 psukim. He must have only laned pasuk 1 and pasuk 2. Right? That's why they're at pasuk 3. I'm not going to think that anybody repeated a pasuk. So I'm going to make a mistake and think, oh my gosh, you only have to read 2 psukim. Right? Those who come late, if you come late to shul, and we're saying, hey, repeat psukim, so I'm going to come to shul, I'm going to get there for the second aliyah, I'm going to hear that they're on the third pasuk, and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, the first guy must have only read the first 2 psukim. I guess you're only allowed to read 2 psukim in shul. I guess that's okay. That's a big mistake. We don't want people making that big mistake. The second mistake people might make is those who leave early. Let's say I leave after the first aliyah. So I heard pasuk 1. I heard the first aliyah. The guy read pasuk aleph, bet, and gimel. And then I'm like, oh man, now the only way that they're going to be able to solve the rest of this is that the second aliyah is only going to be 2 psukim. They're only going to read dalet and hey. Or they're only going to read, at some point later on, they're only going to read 2 psukim. And all the other mistakes we talked about. So again, to prevent mistakes, Shmuel says you got to split. You got to split pasuk gimel. You can't repeat pasuk gimel because it's going to lead those who come late and those who leave early to make a very big mistake. So as long as you can understand that, you are done. We are going to have a test on the Rosh Chodesh material at the end of next week. I think it's going to be next Thursday. So make sure you got these translations right. This test is not going to be a reading test, but it is going to be a make sure that you understand all the concepts. It's going to be a test for that. So let's make sure you get that down. Have a wonderful day.